W weirdness.
That's right.
That's what last week we were talking about. W weirdness. Well, this is always a fun thing. It's not really what I have to share with you as much as what we have to share with each other. And I'm going to just adjust this a little bit. And, okay, so there we go. So we're going to find out what we have to share with each other. And that means you, wherever you are in the world. If you're just waking up, I know that there are people in England and in the British Isles, Europe, that are just waking up to join us. Some people in Asia are waking up for their morning right now, a little bit early to be with us as well. But if we can all just discover what we have to say by connecting our subconscious minds, which is the real mind, and it's the ultimate mind because it's connected to the infinite mind. And if we can just use our subconscious minds, we can find out exactly what we need to know at this point in our life. So in order to do that, we sort of do a centering exercise to begin with. And if you would, just find a comfortable place, uncross everything, because it's all electrical. All life is electrical. And so we want this electrical flow to just come through and to each and every one of us. And we will do this breathing exercise together. And if you'll just close your eyes and just imagine that you're breathing in and breathe in all the positive cosmic energy of the universe. And we ask for strength, protection, and guidance. And then just slowly breathing out. We do this again. As we breathe in all the positive cosmic energy of the universe, and we ask for strength, protection, and guidance. And just breathe out. And as we breathe in all the positive cosmic energy of the universe. And we ask for strength, protection, and guidance. And as we breathe in all the positive cosmic energy of the universe. And we ask that we unite our subconscious minds into their original oneness with the One, with the Infinite One. And we thank you. Take a deep breath and come back into the present. And I want to thank everyone for being you. Just being you. Because you are me and I am you, and we are all together. I think that was a song. But it was a good song, because it was a good thought. Yes, exactly. So, but as we're approaching this, what I want to share with you tonight is a good lesson. I should say what you want to share with me is a good lesson. And it's on increasing your production. There's many ways to increase production, and there's many reasons to increase production, but the main reason to increase production is because the more you produce, the more you experience. The more you experience, the more you can create. And the more you create, the more you live. And so the more we produce, bottom line, the more you live. And that's why some people create unbelievable lives. And when we say unbelievable lives, I don't refer to lives that other people don't believe. I'm talking about like my life, where I don't even believe myself. Now you know that you are accomplishing something. Something great. And that's what it's about. Some people find themselves totally exhausted without time, working 40 hours a week. And then some people own multiple companies and work many more hours and still have time to do the things that they feel are important and that we actually desire to do, but we don't have the time. It's all based on production. One of the key ways of increasing your production is to eliminate the drag. Because production means just that. You're producing, you're going forward. And so if you can start to eliminate the drag in your life, then it only makes sense that you're going to streamline and you're going to go faster and get more done. The drag. What's the drag? No, I'm not talking about how some people dress on Saturday night. I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about the drag that's holding you back, and that could be stress. It could be fear. It could be worry. But the big part could be self-sabotage. That's the biggest drag I have found with human beings, is that they sabotage themselves continuously. But they do it very much according to their level of intelligence. The more intelligent they are, the more intelligently they sabotage themselves. And so one of the ways that you can tell if you're intelligent is if you go, I'm not really doing anything. It's just happening to me. Okay, that means you're really intelligent, and you're so intelligent that you can't even let yourself see how you're doing it, let alone anyone else. But you're doing it. Actually, as we know by now, in these ongoing lessons that we share with each other, we do it all. You've come here, you've come wherever you are in the world, you've turned your computers on or whatever devices that you're watching this through, your phones. And you said, at this time, I'm going there, I'm coming here. And I said, at this time, I'm coming here, and we are here. We created that. And we go, of course we did. But I can tell you, you did that all the way throughout your life up to this point. You're like, well, wait a second, I hope I didn't create that moment. You did. You had some contribution to it. You contributed to it. You want to declare, I have contributed to this. And the more you can do that, to the point where you say, I'm actually responsible. Now what you're doing is you're producing power. When we produce power, that's a good thing. Because when we're producing power, well then, for one, things are brighter. The lights go on, right? The switch, we turn the power on, the lights go on. And that's what we talked about many weeks ago, about being light workers, turning that light switch on. The best place to start in turning any power on is with yourself. Of course. You might say, come on, let's go past this point because I've got it. Do you? Do you have your power turned on? Because if you have your power turned on, then there's not going to be a whole lot of drag in your life because you're not going to put up with it. Now some people are really good at this, dancing with drag, right? Hey, they know all the steps. They know all the steps. They lead. They lead. Male, female, doesn't matter. They're leading. They're leading with the drag in their life because when it settles down, they turn on something to get more drag. And that is, again, that self-sabotage. So if we start to stop for just a second here, we start the process, we have to stop a lot of times and say, okay, what in my life is happening right now that I have seen before? In some way, shape, or form. I've seen this before. What is it? Is it a financial strain? Is it an illness? Is it loneliness? Is it anger? Is it stress? What is it? Money problems? Okay, have you seen this before? If you have seen it before, then I assure you, you are the creator of that. Or it wouldn't exist. Have you ever had your arm cut off? If you haven't, it's because you didn't create that. It's not because something didn't cut your arm off, it's because you didn't put yourself in that situation to have it cut off, whether it be from another force outside of you or not. You have to be willing to put yourself in that situation. When you think, well, that would be crazy, why would someone have their arm cut off? Well, I ask, why would someone have their head cut off? And having your head cut off would be equivalent to not utilizing it properly. Not utilizing your mind. Not your brain, your mind. And utilizing your mind says, look, you know what? Everything in my life I am responsible for. I produced that. The good and the bad. And now I want to start changing what I'm producing and improving my creation. And when that happens, you take responsibility for your creation. Well, then you start to determine what results that you're getting. You determine all the other pieces that go with it, all the players and all the people that are not playing in it, all the things that are playing in it, all of that. Producing more. Time is a factor when we're talking about production. People will tell me, well, you know, I only have a limited amount of time. I have all these things going on. I work and I have all this, so I only have limited time. We know that time is just an illusion, and it's something that is actually man-made. It doesn't really exist. Money, time, and fear are three things that are not real, but they control our real lives. So time is just basically an excuse. I always tell people that you can only insult me in two ways. One is to say, I'm this way because I had a hard life. Huh, we have all had hard lives. Don't compare sufferings. Or, the second way you can insult me, sorry, I just don't have the time. Well, you have the same amount of time as I have. We all have approximately 630 to 660,000 hours in a lifetime. So what would not insult me is if you say, you know what, I choose not to make the time for that right now. That's a very causative, and we're all about causative, being causative, causing things to happen rather than being the effect. The effect is the end part, the causative is the initiating part. A causative statement is, I'm choosing not to utilize my time that way at this point. That's a fair thing, and it should not be insulting. It should be actually a loving statement because you're being very direct and very honest. But time is a funny thing because back in 1954, the government hired a scientist by the name of Parkinson to do research. They wanted it for military purposes and to improve the production in the military, but it turned out to be one of the greatest studies of time ever. Yet it is not really very publicized, and it's Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law says that a human being will take any task at hand and fill it up according to how much time there is. And so if you want to improve your production and produce more in life, a good place to start is by reducing your time that you have for those tasks. Start timing yourself. Now, when we start to talk about allocating specific times and scheduling and everything else, a lot of times people, because we look at the world upside down, and we truly do, that they think, oh, that's going to be very restricting for me because I'm a free bird. No. Actually, if you want more freedom, then you manipulate and you bend your time. And one of the ways of doing that is to start to schedule things. That's freedom. The average person watches 7 hours of TV in the United States a day. Now, if you're not watching 7 hours of TV, someone else is watching your time for you. But the average person watches 7 hours of TV. And you might think, that's not me. Well, have a little embarrassing moment. And that is start to account for your TV time on a weekly basis. And you might even surprise yourself. You might be watching much more than what you think you're watching. And that means if the TV's on. Whether you are engaging it in front of it or not is another thing. But if it's on as white noise or whatever in the background, it still counts. The Nielsen ratings are still counting that as TV time for you. It's hitting your subconscious mind, by the way, anyways, even if it is white noise in the background. You're still hearing the Tide commercials and everything else that are coming across there. So what you do is you take your email. This is an example. You take your email and you go, okay, I have all these emails. And you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to answer the emails, and so you start to answer the emails. Or before you answer any emails, you go, okay, I will allocate 45 minutes to answer my emails. You would be amazed at how you can actually clear most of your emails in 45 minutes, regardless if they're hundreds. You will be deleting a lot of them, you're right. You'll be deleting a lot of them. Others that you'll be very direct, to the point, as far as your response goes. Your production increases just with that little task. What could it do with a bigger task? You have an area of your environment, your home, your office that you want cleaned. Set a timer. Set a timer. You'll produce more. You'll produce more because, once again, Parkinson's law says that you will fit that in there. You will start flying through that, and pretty soon you will be accomplishing things left and right. You want to further your education. Set times around it. Set times around it, and before you engage in any activity, increase your emotions around it. If it's a simple activity like your emails, get up, get engaged, get physically engaged, get moving a little bit, turn on some music, dance for 60 seconds, time yourself, start dancing, start singing, start laughing. Laughing is a really good emotional elevator, because as soon as you start laughing, you're activating the facial muscles, which then activate the neurotransmitters in the brain. So you're engaging something there. You're engaging your emotions. You're going to increase your emotions. When you're increasing your emotions, you're always going to be more productive. Your mistake rates go way down. Your error rates go way down. And so you're improving yourself. You're producing a better you. And that's what this is all about. Improving yourself to the point of producing a better you, upgrading your life to the next level. Another thing is the negativity. Negativity is a very big drag in our lives. I don't even like to talk about this, but it's a necessary evil to mention in passing, at least in some degree. We go, well, look, I'm an expert on that. You know, I'm around it frequently. You might be married to it. You might have best friends that are it. Whatever the case may be, that you have to recognize where that negativity is in your life, and say, you know what, right there. How do you know if someone's negative? By what they bring to you, right? If you turn on Fox or CNN or any of those other horror pictures, that if you turn those on and they're charging you with negativity, that's a negative source. If someone is coming to you saying, I have this problem, that doesn't mean anything yet. I have this problem. You go, okay, and what are you doing about it? Well, I'm a little stuck on it. Okay, let's work together on it. You do your best. Now, if the person starts to engage, there should be a solution of some sort. It might not be the right solution, but it will be a solution that will produce momentum progress towards an ultimate solution. If the subconscious intentions are correct. And the subconscious intentions, what's the correctness? Engaged and directed towards solution. If the subconscious minds are not directed towards solution, and instead, even one of those subconscious minds are directed towards more negativity, there will not only will there not be a solution produced, there'll be at least another problem or 10 introduced during that engagement. Now you know what that person serves for their mental dinner. More. And so now you say, okay, how are you doing? Good, but I want to talk to you about the end of the world. I don't really want to talk about that. Okay, good, and let's talk about something else. And then shortly after that, then they come back, well, you know what, that reminds me of the end of the world. I'm like, we already talked that. I don't want to talk about things like that. If it ends, who cares? I mean, what does it matter? It's not ended right now. If it didn't end right now, then let us embrace with joyous glory this second, and then let the end of the world end in the next minute. But for this minute, let us live to the maximum. We'll plan as if we're going to live forever, but live as if this is the last minute. That's a good lesson. I mean, it's an ancient lesson. It's a good ancient lesson to live by, I believe. And so, if you are being fed, and a lot of times it's by those loved ones. They love you so much that they feel obligated to feed you negativity. And if you're being fed with that, you have the choice. If you, for some reason, you decide I'm going to start eating healthy and I'm going to become a vegetarian, and you sat down and someone served meat, you say, I'm sorry, I'm a vegetarian. Not that you couldn't eat it or you would explode or something like that. No, you just made that decision. I'm not going to eat meat, and that's okay. Now they might be a little uncomfortable, especially if they're a hunter or something, right? But to you, that's your decision, your boundary, if you would. And the same thing can be for your mental diet. You can start to decide ahead of time, I will talk about these things, I will not talk about those things. I will engage in these things, I will not engage in these things. In mine, I just go right to the chase. I only really want to engage, not that I don't slip. I mean, after all, we are in this state of humanness. But if I do slip, I'm going to catch myself and get back into results. I want conversations that are results-oriented. Now, the results, I always like to have the valuable final product, the VFP, the valuable final product, I always like it to be love. Love. Because that makes me feel good. I know what my reference of love is, and so I want that feeling of love at the end. I want to walk away saying I feel happy because I feel that love. I feel like I produce more love in this conversation, in this existence. So if I am watching a program and it's not giving me the love, then I have to ask myself, okay, well, what can I do here to make it a loving experience? And if I can't, then I need to shut it off. And sometimes it's easy if it's a TV set or if it's a movie, you can walk out of the theater, but if you look over and you go, I love that person. I love that person. How do you shut that off? How do you shut it off? You select, you just like you select the channel, you select the conversation. Now, we talked about aliveness and livingness in the past, that everything is alive. This carpet, the walls, the rocks are alive. We know that scientifically. We look at it under specific types of microscopes, and we can see the atoms and all the subatomic particles even now moving around. We even play with them. So everything's alive, but there's different degrees of livingness, intelligence. And the rule is, whoever is more intelligent is responsible. Whoever is more intelligent is the responsible party. So if you know this information, because you have more livingness than another person, because you've been exposed to it, and you allow the conversation to be directed in an area that you don't eat anymore, it's your fault. Not the other person's fault. They don't know any better than to dwell on Fox or CNN or anything else, or other people. They don't know any better. But you can say, you know what? Come back. Let's talk about something else. I don't really want to talk about that. And by doing that, you think, well, good. I'm conditioning this person. I doubt it. You might think, well, I'm controlling the conversation. Nah, a little bit, but you're going to see that person is actually programmed, and they're wired for negativity. We do have a natural propensity towards negativity anyways as a human being. That's why if we see a little fender bender, it causes a traffic jam. They're not stopping or slowing down to say, hey, can I help you? No, they're stopping, slowing down. Any blood? Anything? Oh, no, darn. Then people walk, they drive by and go, darn, it was only a fender bender. Only a fender bender, that was someone's car. They might have loved that car. What are you saying? Only a fender bender. It was an accident, and no matter which way or whatever, it was a collision. And so what are you doing then? If you have more livingness, if you have more intelligence than the other person, then why would you even want to direct it? Well, to make you feel better? Yeah, partly. But also, it's to condition you. You're exercising yourself. When I'm redirecting the conversation, I'm exercising myself. I'm producing more power within me. I'm not doing anything really to the other individual, probably. Oh, they might think, hey, he's a pretty positive guy. He's awkward. He's making me mad, because he keeps on redirecting this conversation. And I want to get it out, all the blood and gore of life, and he's not allowing this. And so don't be alarmed if you notice that your lengthy conversations with the loved ones now become very brevis. There's not a whole lot to talk about. And then you can actually start to identify some things within yourself. What can you talk about? What can you interact with? What are you interacting with, or what are you not interacting with? And when you are starting to discover this about yourself, now you can maybe direct the conversation and expand it into something that is more loving, in my situation at least, more loving, more happiness. Or you can start to attract other individuals and other experiences that will interact with you positively from a productive standpoint. And when you are starting to interact and produce that in other people, produce that in yourself, and then you're producing that in the world, now you are making a significant contribution as far as production of more life. Life is not a negative process, as we know. It's an expansive, positive process. You have to work hard. You have to put effort to make it a negative experience, to keep it contained. That takes force. This is ease. If you are finding that your life is this, realize that you are working hard at keeping it contained. And anytime that you want, you can release it. How do you release it? Reduce the drag. Next part of the drag. Stress. You say that word in a group of people, and you see everyone has these funny expressions on their face. There's a familiarity, first of all. There's a camaraderie, and then there's a blushing. And the pupils actually dilate. A little bit of a psychogenic shock, where it produces a minor shock within the individual when they hear certain truths. And the shock is a result, actually, of an increase of electricity, because it just, for just a second, it cognites. Stress. Stress is, as we mentioned before, is just an intelligent way of saying fear. So any fear or any stress, I should say, that you have in your life is really just a fearful situation. And I said a moment ago, fear, time, and money do not exist. So stress doesn't exist. You actually, once again, have to work hard to keep it stressed. To keep it stressed. Keep it with a capital I. Keep it stressed. And so if you're working hard at keeping it stressed, the only way that you can do that, since it's not real, where does stress and aka fear live? Only in the mind. So how do you do that? Repeating thoughts, the mental codes. Repeating thoughts over and over again. Repeating thoughts over and over again. And what are repeating thoughts over and over again? What do they produce? Our beliefs. A belief is nothing more than a thought that you keep repeating. And good news. If you were born without legs, I'm sorry, for whatever inconvenience that you may be experiencing because of that. Not much you can do at this point in time. Maybe someday science will do that as they study the lizard more. But for right now, you have to live with that. But the good news is that no matter what is in your life that you can't change, you can always change one thing, and that one thing is going to produce different results. And that one thing that you can change is your thinking. You can change your thoughts anytime. You might think, well, that's easier said than done. Well, actually, it's actually is easier. It's a lot easier than what you think it is. It takes work, once again, to stay stressed. It takes work to keep those thoughts going over and over again. All you have to do is recognize what thoughts you are thinking and what thoughts are getting in your way of the results that you want, and then just stop and say, you know what? I think I'm gonna actually write down some new thoughts. Write them down. Write down some replacement thinking. And as you write down the replacement thinking, you write out, okay, I will think about, look at your life. What is in your life right now that you don't want in your life? Okay, now don't write down a negative statement like, I don't want to be fat anymore. I don't want this. I don't want to be lonely anymore. I don't want to be broke anymore. Remember, the subconscious mind does not recognize that word "don't." So you're actually saying, I want that. Okay, that's one thing. The other is that you want to program it with a positive thought. So you're replacing the negative with the positive and all that sort of thing. You might think, oh, this positivity, this positive thinking, what good does that do? Well, I guarantee you one thing. Any single thing that you see in your world that was made by a person was never created with a negative thought. That person had always had a positive thought about that creation. It's as simple as a pencil, as elaborate as the furthest satellites that are out there working on fuels that we don't understand even. So with that, there's something to be said by writing down a positive thought, and then you might want to carry that in a handy place at first, so whenever you notice yourself, oh, there it is. And normally it goes like this. It's a tape that starts running. And the tape might sound like a number of things. I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired. I'm getting sick. I'm getting mad. I'm real mad. I got ripped. I'm lonely. I'm sad. I'm broke. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Then you can just instantly say, you know what? I forgot. I'm not thinking that anymore. Pull it out. Everything's fine. That's a good one right there. Everything's fine. And actually, I use one. Everything's perfect, and it's
Getting better.
Everything's perfect, and it's getting better. Because that's what. Then what am I doing? I'm actually programming my thinking. If I'm programming my thinking, then I'm calling on the reservoir of all existence in my subconscious mind. It's not that I'm programming the subconscious mind, it's already there. All I'm doing is calling on the reservoir of it to mix the right things to make me experience what I'm demanding for my creation at this moment. So it's not really surprising when it goes right. And when it's not going right, I stop and say, okay, wait a second. Okay, you're playing games with yourself here. You're throwing some chaos in your life. What is that? What is that? You need some type of a charge. Do I need to have a little aliveness? That's what a lot of people do. They want aliveness. And so the aliveness, if we have electrodes hooked up to your head with an electroencephalogram, and you walk around with a little monitor all day long, and we come back and we read that monitor, we can actually see the same pattern over and over again, no matter what the person is experiencing. They could be going to the greatest place, the most peaceful area that they find peace on earth or happiness in their life, and we say, wow, look, they're still spiking. Why is that? Because they're thinking that way. And what are we measuring? We're measuring nothing more than electricity. So they're producing the same type of electrical wave, which is life, because when you are out of electricity, you're out of life, right? You're a shell, no matter what. I mean, we could try to use some paddles and put some electricity back in there to jumpstart you, just like we do a car, and sometimes it works. More times than not, it doesn't, because we lost some other connection that we don't even understand. But if we know it's electrical, we know it's electricity. So what type of electricity are you creating? If you walk into a room and you turn on a switch and it doesn't work, and nothing turns on, you know that you have a switch that is for something else. other than the light that you want. When you are thinking and you're looking at your life and you're going, I don't like this in my life, you're turning the wrong switch on. So as a light worker, you better start turning on the right switches. And the right switches are the ones that are going to illuminate the right things in your life. And the right things in your life that you want illumined are the ones that bring you happiness and love. If they're not bringing happiness and love, don't even play with that switch. Don't ever touch that switch. Put a do not touch sign on that switch in your head. Don't allow yourself to even go there. It's funny because, the old saying says you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, I don't know about that, but I believe that you can. But I can tell you one thing. You can definitely teach an old human new tricks. If the old human is willing to change their thinking. And that's the challenge, right? Willing to change their thinking. And the reason why that people would not be willing to change their thinking, even though that's a big drag on their life, if they're stressed or fear or any of the other negative thoughts that are dragging them, is because it's comfortable. That's the old chair, right? It's comfortable. You open up your kitchen cupboard in the morning, you have all these cups up there, you reach for the comfortable one. Right? You have all these seats in your house, but you sit in the comfortable one. And as a matter of fact, if someone sits in your comfortable chair, you're like, hey, that's my comfortable chair, right? Am I sitting over there? And that's exactly how it is. It's comfortable for us to think certain ways. And so you have to shake it up a little bit. You have to shake up your world a little bit and start to say, you know what? I don't want this anymore. I know it's comfortable for me to just be in the misery of it all and complain about it, but I don't want to be there anymore. I'm going to eliminate that drag in my life. I'm going to write down a couple positive thoughts, start to actually brainwash myself. And you're allowed to brainwash yourself. It's your brain. Brainwash yourself. Don't let me brainwash you or anyone else. You brainwash yourself. Willingly, excitedly, right? You want to do it every second that you can. Now, it's funny because if, depending on who's watching this, you know what level of success that you have reached. I don't mean financial success. I'm talking about prosperity in any area of life. You know what level you have reached. And for those who have reached levels that others can only dream, or as far as their aspirations go, only dream about, they really can't reach them. You know exactly what I'm saying because you're doing it. You do this all the time. But for others who are struggling, it might seem a little bit awkward at first until you get the hang of it, until you get in the momentum progress of it. And then it gets easier and easier and easier and easier. And haven't you done enough things in life to know it all works that way? The first time that we saw the VCR, it was scary to many people, and now, we wouldn't even think about turning one on, unless it was to go through some type of old library of tapes. But the truth is that you can change anytime you are willing to. That's the question. Are you willing to let go of your misery to create what you want? You don't go on a diet to get a new body. You create the consciousness of health that creates whatever you want. You don't go out and buy a Rolls Royce. You go out and you create in your consciousness what you think that you can. Now, if you get in your consciousness, I want a Rolls Royce. That's the only thing I want. Whatever car or whatever material possession you want. If you really get that, and you say, that's the only thing that I am willing to create, you will find a way. You will find a way. And it's not through positive thinking. It's through positive creation. But instead, we constantly compromise ourselves and say, well, that would be nice, and all of those things. That's the thinking again, and so that's what you become. Some people say, well, I'd like to look like you, I'd like to be like you, I'd like to whatever, to have what you have. Well, you can, once again, but it starts with eliminating the drag and then producing through creation what you want. It's really a fun thing as you start to play with this, because it doesn't really take long. It doesn't take long to really turn on your creative abilities, because it's been there all along. It's just that it's this time in history that we're catching up to ourselves, of saying, you know what, we're right there. Now I'm starting to understand. I've been through the law of manifestation. I've been through the law of attraction. I've been through those laws. I've been through the law of love, maybe. Good. Now it's time to go past all of that and go right to the source that's inside of you, inside of your mind, not your brain, but your mind, and turn on the law of creation. It's there. That's the only reason why you exist, is to create. What are you creating? Are you happy with it? And if you are, wonderful. Congratulations. And if you are looking for something bigger, better, completely normal. Completely normal. As a matter of fact, it's abnormal for a human being to say, I'm satisfied. That's very abnormal. You should always want more, because it's part of the spirit that is within us. We have come here to only expand, so we're always going to want more. So you produce it. You produce it. And as you're producing it, you start to produce something that doesn't fit in your current lifestyle anymore. Realize that there are some changes that will occur. As the old Chinese saying goes, there's no loss without a gain. There's no gain without a loss. One of the things that come to our mind when we say that are people a lot of times. Oh my gosh, that person will be out of my life now. And and that's my mother, or that's my brother, or whatever, that's my best friend. One of the things, can you change another person? Well, you can change only by the reflection from yourself. You do have the ability to change other people. As you vibrate higher and higher in consciousness, meaning that you are turning on your creative abilities stronger and stronger, that's all that means, vibrating to a higher consciousness, that as you turn that on, one of two things will happen to the people around you. Either they will start to come up with you, because your subconscious mind is connected with their subconscious minds, and they will rise as well. Or they will be gone. They will have to find some type of an environment or an entity that is willing to still participate in their locked down state. Maybe their negative state. Now that's all right. That's all right. Doesn't mean that you have to totally disassociate with them, but you might find that both of you become more comfortable by separating, because you start to become the opposing force of the positive and negative. And you know what happens if you touch a battery cable together like that? Sparks go everywhere. The same thing with the energy between two human beings who are on opposite or dichotomy of consciousness, is that if they try to come together, sparks will fly everywhere. So don't try to save the world. We talked about saving the world a while ago. Don't talk about saving the world. Instead, just improve yourself. You'll improve the people around you that need to be improved. You'll improve the things around you that need to be improved. And then in turn, you are producing a better life with less drag. I'd like to hear your thoughts, your questions, your interjections.
She's being a brat tonight, as usual.
Would you say then the difference between, I think you've mentioned this before, between manifesting and creating, that you're not just merely, creating is not just thinking about what you want, but you actually have to combine that thought with action.
Right.
Because it's the difference between you thinking about you want a Ferrari and you put pictures of it around your house and you think about it all day long, and it just gonna mysteriously show up in your driveway one day, and I don't think that's really how things work.
Mm-mm. No, you're right. You're right.
So is that the difference but you have to combine the positive thinking with productive action.
Exactly. And manifesting is really more in line with attraction. When we are thinking about manifesting and attraction, a lot of times people will think of those things together. Mm-hmm. And that we are thinking that the Ferrari exists and now we just have to bring it from the ethers into the physical world. The reality of it is that would be equivalent to someone that is riding a tricycle. Now they just went to their two-wheeler, but they're on training wheels. That's what the law of attraction is. That's what the law of manifestation is. Where the law of creation would be on that whole scheme is now way down there in someone driving a rocket-propelled car. Because what they're doing when you're creating, you don't really concentrate on the Ferrari and sitting in there and enjoying the leather and everything else. That's the law of attraction. It's too elementary, far too fundamental for it to actually work. What you'll do is you'll start to stumble, and when you're stumbling in the creation process, you will find that yes, you might see a glimpse of the Ferrari, and then all of a sudden get in an accident in your car, your present car. Well, it did move you towards getting a new car, so you did attract that. It's just too awkward. You can't put like I say in the mental codes book, you can't put a 10-year-old child, behind the driver's steering wheel of your car. That wouldn't be safe for the child nor anyone else. But the law of creation is just a basic part of the spirit, because how life is formed is that it's just an extension from the oneness. And when I went on the other side, it was all one, and so we're just an extension of the oneness. And so when you realize that you're an extension of the oneness, then it's easy to actually manifest it beyond, it's easy to create it beyond the manifestation realm. I don't have to attract it from the ethers, I actually create it. I create it in the ethers into this whole thing. And so it doesn't matter if it exists or not. If I want it to, it does. That's how light bulbs are formed. That's exactly how all inventions are discovered. All discoveries are made. That's exactly how it occurs. They don't say, well, does it already exist? Well, everything exists. There is no time, so it already exists. But what you do is you create it. So it's a fine line. Grasp that for just a second. So does the light bulb already exist on the other side? Well, yes, in a way, but it has to come together. And if you know that the infinite intelligence already has it together, and you can just create it according to what you want, that's how you get from an incandescent bulb to a fluorescent bulb, and then to a whatever bulb that we're using now, right? It keeps it going. The incandescent bulb was created from the ethers, and it just kept on improving. You can do that with your life as well, once you stay in that mode. But the very first step, again, remember, is that when you are creating, continue to look at the responsibility. That's a very important thing. Continue having that reflection back to you. And when you can't find a responsibility in the matter, then at least settle for a major contributory force. Because when you do that, then what are you doing? You're turning on your creator. You're turning on your creative force. You turn from victim to victor. You turn into the creator of everything. And so then it works with the positive and the negative. Soon you go, you know what, I know that I created this bad relationship, and so I don't want to create this again. How did I do this? Well, I don't think, I can't identify it, but I'm going to identify it. And you don't let yourself off the hook. Make yourself recognize it. You will recognize it, and then you recognize that you created it, you became the creator of that. You then, over on this side, you can start to create the positive as well.
So in the case of this Maserati, if we're saying someone wants
Oh, it's a Maserati now?
Was that what you said? Oh, a
Ferrari.
oh, sorry.
It's all right. I just think
I'll take
it's funny.
either one.
They're Italian. They're Italian.
It's a Maserati.
They're Italian.
So in the case of that, how would you suggest someone proceed in that?
Okay, really good. We produce it. And so we start with the very first step. Thank you for asking that question. How do you proceed in getting the Ferrari for the people out there in the ethers? What you do is the very first thing you say, okay, I want this type. You get all specific, like you know all the basic fundamental rules of making this happen in your life already. You say, I want a red one. I want it to be this year and all this sort of thing. You get the details down. Then you look at your life right now and you go, okay, what 1 to 3 things can I do today with what I have to go towards that? And you go, well, wait a second. Maybe you don't have a car out there at all, right? You don't have a car, and now I'm asking you, what can you do? Well, you could, just off the cuff here, you could start walking over to find a Ferrari dealer, number 1. Next, figure out a way that you can get over to that Ferrari dealer, 2. And number 3 is ask the salesman to show you a Ferrari. There's 3 things that you can do, and it didn't cost anything really, right? Then after you do those 3 things, the next steps are revealed by your subconscious mind or by the infinite subconscious mind. But if you don't do those things and you just stay in your great room or in your living room and you just concentrate, I want a Ferrari, and you're looking at pictures of Ferraris and everything else and you're talking to friends about it, I'm getting a Ferrari, nothing happens. That is not the creative mode. The creative mode is action. You have to go into action in order to get the momentum progress going. And here's the beautiful thing with it. So now you are in the dealership, they're showing you the Ferrari, and next thing you know, you get out of there, and now someone says, hey, I know you're working, but I got a better job for you. I'll take it. And then all of a sudden, things start going. You wake up in the middle of the night thinking, you know what? This would help people. This idea would help people. This product would help people. This service would help people. I should look into that. Yes, you should. When? Right now. Do 1 to 3 things on that. And see, it's an orchestration of life. That's all it is. And all of us are very capable conductors. But we have to get off the couch. We have to get off the couch of life and get in the game of doing 1 to 3 things on a regular basis. Now, what? Do I mean daily? Well, that's up to you. I'm not going to dictate on how fast or how slow someone is to go. I can tell you once again, at the sake of being redundant, there is no time. If you want that Ferrari right away, then get moving right away. And it would be there in your driveway. And your neighbors will go, wow, you have a Ferrari. You're lucky. And you're like, not really. I can tell you all the steps I went to all the way through. Yes, you are. But actually, it's not luck. It's just that you can say, I went through all these steps. And you can too. Doesn't that sound familiar? People have told you that.
Yes,
People have told you that. Well, you can do it. How many times have you heard that? Well, you can do this. If I could do it, you can do it. All these different things like that. I don't like to use it. But people have told you that. And they're telling you the truth. Because they did exactly that. And that's where people trip up. Is that they are trying the law of attraction. And that's why I'm really against the law of attraction, because I have found in my research, law of attraction hurts people. And I don't like anything that hurts people. I love people too much. I don't like anything that hurts them. And so that's why I try to teach people, be careful when you're playing with that stuff. And anyways, why would you want to play still again with that 2-wheeler with training wheels when you could drive that rocket propelled car? Go on. Start creating. Start being your real self. Other thoughts? Questions? Interjections?
I just like to add one thing to that, is that what intrigues me sometimes is how friends will create something, and then because it doesn't look exactly like they think it's supposed to look, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the car came in, they created the car, but it was the wrong kind.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't think, okay, well, so I'm almost there now.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do? I can sell this one and get that one. Or grandma dies and leaves them $95,000, which they put in the bank. Now there's their Ferrari, and they just put it in the bank. Where's my Ferrari? They're still waiting, because they're waiting for it to appear, and they don't realize that they've already created the Ferrari.
Mhm.
You just have to go out now and give the guy the money and take it home.
Right, right,
You know,
right.
you just don't, whenever you're creating it, it doesn't always look exactly how you think it's supposed to.
Right.
But it can get there if you just are willing to, like you said, put one foot in front of the other.
And keep rejoicing. Keep producing positivity.
Yeah.
This is not meaning being Pollyanna. It's actually just being decisive upon what you want to be and create. That's the thing.
2 years in a row, my fence for my garden has not been there. And the deer eat my evergreen deer. And this year I said, I'm getting a fence. And the next day I was driving down the road and there was a fence laying on the side of the road. I swear to God, it was in 3 pieces, and the 3 pieces were the exact size for my fence.
That's it.
Exact
That's
size.
exactly.
I mean, including the space for the gate. It was weird because I'd already tilled the garden. It was its size,
Mhm.
and the fence went just like
Love
that.
that. Love it.
But I was open to just accepting the creation wherever it came,
Mhm.
and it just happened to come on the side of the road.
This is a really good point, Joey. This is a really good point. When you are having one of those days when everything is going right, stop for just a second. Pull out a paper and pencil or pull out your laptop and start making some notes. This is a fun thing. Ask yourself, what did you feel when you first woke up this morning? Do you remember the dream that you had? Do you remember the feeling that you woke up with into this day? Look, what were you feeling throughout the day? Were you feeling lucky? Were you feeling happy? I doubt if you were feeling depressed. I doubt if you were feeling mad. I doubt if you woke up scared. So when you start to inventory yourself, reflect on that, on what that power is, it's easy then to start to duplicate it. And you can actually find certain triggers that will make you, one, happier, more positive, more productive, or the opposite. Then you can start to say, you know what, when I think of that, when I go there physically even, I don't feel good. Well then, what would you tell a child? Don't go there, right? Don't go there. So
Go there.
that's exactly it. And you know, if it's funny because when you look at you look at the people who have succeeded to the degree that you would like to succeed, and you start talking to them, you find conversations quite different than the people who are struggling that would like to be where you're at right now. And one of the things is that you go, well, to the person who has succeeded to levels higher than you, I'd like to talk to you something negative about politics. They're like, what? What? I'd like to talk to you negative about your neighbor. Why would I want to do that? They would look at you puzzled. Why would I want to do that? What good is that? It doesn't make even sense to them. They don't have that in their consciousness. Well, how about the end of the world? No, I don't. That would be ridiculous. I don't even believe in it. They might be intelligent enough to say, well, there's always that possibility that whatever, an asteroid could crash or whatever, but they wouldn't even want to be preoccupied with that. They're in a different reality. And they're in the reality of where you want to be. So if they're in the reality of where you want to be, it would only make sense that, you know, whatever way that they are, you might want to consider at least adopting some of those ways. If not all of them, at least some of them. And it's going to help you to rise up to a higher level yourself. It's a shortcut. It really is a shortcut. That's one of the beautiful benefits of being a human being. A human who is being is that we can actually very easily assimilate the vibration of another human being very quickly. Very quickly. I'm talking about within minutes of being in their presence. And that's why people are tuning into this all over the world. They want to be into our presence here. And so when you want to be careful of whose vibration that you are existing in. Yes.
My question is about maintaining this momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you have a somewhat inhuman level of trajectory. But for those of us mere mortals, that I know for myself, I can manifest, give me a goal,
Mhm.
but then it's like, okay, that was easy, and
Mhm.
now what, whatever. So, and then I kind of pause and go, okay, well, I'm just gonna wait and see, what's there, I mean,
Right.
that kind of, that's what I feel like, and I don't think it's just me. I think other people kind of, we can do it, and then we just kind of like a plateau.
Mhm.
Like when you learn a new language or an instrument, so go one, and then plateau up.
Mhm.
So what's the? I mean, it's like.
Good point.
What is the motivator to kind of keep you?
You go beyond the short-term results, and you start to go.
Question.
Oh yes, thank you. The question was that Karen experiences these short bursts of creation, of creativity, to where she's able to create really quick, even if it's big things, but she creates them quick, and then all of a sudden she's down, and then you have to pick it back up and do it again and again and again. That's normally because your focus is on short-term results rather than going and attaching those short-term results to a bigger result. And now the question is, okay, well, what's the big result that my life is about? And you just ask yourself, what do you want this theme to be? Not this life, but this theme of your life, first of all. What theme would you like to have? Mine is loving service. I just really get off on loving service. I just do. I mean, I don't care if people say, well, that's weird or that's crazy or whatever. That's insane. I don't care. That's what makes me happy. I think it's greedy because it makes me happy, but that's what I get off on. So everything I do has to be towards loving service. When I trip and I have something that is either not in line with that or counterproductive to it, instantly I correct myself. I want to get away because I'm a really powerful creator. And I know the consequences is that once you start this momentum and you start playing with this stuff, not really playing, you're activating it, right? Once you start being this stuff, and that's the human who is being the creator, you have to be careful. Because if you do create on a short burst, what you normally will find in the interim from that ending of that burst of that creation, in the next one, a big clump of negativity. And then all of a sudden, okay, let's roll up my creativity sleeves, and you start again. And so that's the cycle. And what it produces is not a state of normalcy. People think that normalcy is actually like this. It looks like this on a sine wave, where it's just going up and down but stays at basically on the same level. That's not normalcy. That's actually a state of emergency. Normalcy, because we are made for expansion, should always be going up a little bit. Now, if it's going up a lot, that's abundance. And if it's going up a whole lot, that's power. That's the objective for human beings. Power. So if you find yourself in that sine wave of good times, bad times, good times, bad times, and life is just seem sort of like on an autopilot, even though you're still having some extremes, then you're in a state of emergency. And that state of emergency is lack of purpose in your life. Create a purpose. Create a purpose and start to identify what theme do you want in this life. If you're leaving right now, what do you want people to say? Let's not get into that old psychology thing of writing your, your eulogy or whatever. Let's not get into that. But let's look at it from the standpoint that you're pulling yourself out of your body. You're looking down and saying, that life was a good life and it was based around, and whatever that was, start manifesting towards that. If it was peace, then go to the lotus pad, right? If it was whatever it is for you, start working towards that 1 to 3 things every day. Now you might get to the lotus pad and say, you know what, this was really nice for a couple weeks, but I'm done with this. Good. Now you go to the next part of that peace. You can still maintain peace, You say, well, you might need to visit another place. You might need to start to initiate a peace factor or a peace movement or something like that. Whatever it is for you. I'm just using this as an example, of course. But you stay on that theme. You keep manifesting towards that theme. And what happens is that if it's, in this example, peace, then you become more powerful peace and more powerful peace and more powerful peace. And pretty soon you walk into a room and people are like, oh, I just love it when you walk into the room. You feel so peaceful. Right? Well, yeah, you would, because that's what you have created. That's what energy you are. Does that help? More questions or thoughts?
I do the same thing she does, but what I find is my problem is that I relax back into the comfort zone all the time, and I have limiting beliefs. I'm so happy that this thing, I was able to make this happen, that I just make myself satisfied with that thing rather than reaching for the higher thing. So it's like, oh, this was wonderful, and I bask in that glory and forget about what I'm supposed to do to move on.
Right, right. In the limiting beliefs, remember we were speaking a few moments ago, watch what thoughts are playing in your head over and over again, because that's where the limiting beliefs are coming in. It doesn't matter if it's from your mother or your father or whoever, your past in some way. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you do have the ability right now to change those limiting beliefs, starting with your thoughts, next with your actions, and then you produce a different existence. That the limiting beliefs are a big factor, and one of the ways you can see if you have limiting beliefs is when things are going good. If you just go, I can't believe it. Well, that you have limiting beliefs, right? I can't believe how good things are going for me. Yes, you can.
Right.
You know, actually, I go the opposite way. I get puzzled when things don't go good, because it's a miracle. As far as I'm concerned, life is designed that way. It's a miracle anytime it goes back that way. That's the miracle. So if it's not going good, it's like, wow, that's amazing. How am I doing that? I want to know how am I doing that? And then I almost always discover it right away, and then it corrects it. And then actually, when things are going good, we know about giving praise and thankfulness and gratitude and so forth. But mine is a little different. Mine is like, oh, I'm so excited. Almost like the child opening up the Christmas gifts under the tree. I get excited like that. And then I'm like, okay, next present. I get really excited. Oh, thank you, whatever the child might yell out. Thank you, mommy and dad. Thank you, Santa Claus, or whatever, right? And then yell that up, put that down. Next gift. Next gift. That doesn't mean I'm not going to go back and enjoy that pleasurable result that I created along the way over and over again. It just means that it's wonderful. I expect it more. Wonderful. I expect it more. Why? Because I deserve it. I am the creator of my life. I am the creator.
See, we were programmed to be happy with what you got.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, that was the program. Be satisfied with what you got. Don't ask for any more. You know.
Yes.
Sound familiar, Mike?
And actually, this was programmed not by your parents, actually, right? This is programmed not even by their great grandparents. This is programming that goes back all the way to the days of the lords of the land, or the landlords, when they would actually teach. Originally, they would teach you. Now look, you go down and work in those fields, and we will feed you and your family. You work all day, and just let all this money stuff up here. You don't need that. Go and sing, go and sing and be happy down there. That's real. What we have up here, we'll take care of. And so the landlords, they gave you wrong advice, and sometimes the landlords look like, they have white collars on and so forth. They look like preachers and priests and rabbis and other holy men and women. But the fact is that the landlords gave you misinformation, and now it's time for you to decide. You can still live with that thousands and thousands of years old information and embrace it, and that's perfect for you. If that does something for you, by all means, if it fits the results that you're trying to get in life, if it increases your happiness in some way, stay there. But if you are to the point where you're saying, okay, I'm ready for the next part of all of it, then it's time to stop joking around with yourself, okay? Life is more than just a cartoon. Okay, there is a greater part of you that has been hidden, and now it's time to awaken it. Enjoy it, embrace it. And part of that is to say, everything's okay. Everything is actually perfect, and it's getting better. Yes. I want to thank everyone so much for coming tonight. You have really been great. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are, and we'll be here next Tuesday at 6:30. Sorry for being a few minutes late tonight. It was unavoidable, but we will look forward to seeing you next week again.